and welcome to The Natural View. I'm Maggie Jacqua, editor of Whole Foods Magazine, and I'm here with Todd Pally of 24 Stories Marketing. Hi, Todd.
Hi, Maggie. How are you?
I'm good. As you can see, I'm in a different location. This is like a sign of the times that we're like getting back to real life. I'm like out in the world at a hotel. So
how's it feel? How's it feel?
It feels good. It feels
good.
Living life.
Yeah, that's right. It's been nice to get out just a little bit and experience the world again. So, well, hey, we have some exciting things coming up for this next podcast. 3 big things to know about now, correct?
3 things
that we
to
have
know
to
now.
know about.
Yeah, these are all topics that we talk about in the latest issue of Whole Foods Magazine. This is information for retailers, brands, and suppliers to know some of the trending topics. And one of them is functional foods, which are big coming out of the pandemic, COVID-19. People, obviously we spend a lot of time eating comfort food and snacking and everything, right?
Right.
But we ate our way through the pandemic, but we also know how important it is to be healthy. So there's definitely a consumer trend of reaching for comfort foods that have better for you ingredients in them. So kind of like a best of both worlds, right?
Yeah, I think all of these 3 things, you could put under the category of post how I made sourdough for a year kind of thing, because we are really talking about reemerging on multiple levels here. So the first one, functional foods, I think is great. This is a category too that has, continued to evolve and improve, in terms of some of the, we talk about, or in the article, you talk a little bit about plant-based proteins and how those have evolved, how delivery formats have changed, how flavors have gotten better. And I think all of that kind of helps mainstream it, along with all of these other people who have tried new things this last year.
Yeah, I think that's one of the points that comes up in the article, that, the flavor and the texture, it all has to be there and it all has to be top notch. Like it used to be, if you wanted a healthy food, you'd be like, well, I'm eating a healthy food, so it is what it is. And now it's like, no, it's got to taste good. I'm not like wasting a bite on something that's not also delicious. So just the innovation in the food technology side of things with, just improving the mouthfeel, taste, and texture so that you get just the same comfort foods that you wanted, but with these added benefits like the plant proteins.
Yeah, yay competition, right? As people are starting to focus, formulations have improved, and you don't have to make that terrible choice of healthy versus terrible tasting. So that's good news. Also in that category, or on that article too, you talk a little bit about adaptogens and other superfoods and kind of tied to stress relief, which I thought was pertinent as well.
Again, coming out of the pandemic, and even as here I am at the hotel for a first time, and you're just like re-emerging into the world. So, wanting these, again, the comfort food to make you feel better. And so ingredients like the adaptogens, the mushroom ingredients in the foods and beverages. I was drinking some mushroom coffee the other day. It was delicious. So
nice, very trendy.
So, we want to make every calorie count.
Yeah, I thought that was great. In terms of the other thing you guys talk about, not only just functional food as a category that's growing and adapting, but also you tie in how to sell it, right? And some of the tried and true techniques. And I thought it was interesting because in some ways it's really those basic, like back to, think about sampling, which we can do, again, or starting to be able to do again. Think about testimonials in store marketing as well, and how powerful those are. Those are some things that have been around forever, but they still are so effective.
Yeah, so effective and making a comeback. I mean, just going back to like mushroom coffee. I mean, if you're going to spend, it's not cheap, right? You're going to buy a nice cup of coffee. And you want to make sure that you're going to like that, right? That's something different maybe that you've never experienced. So sampling being a huge thing, consumers want samples. There is still definitely some hesitancy in terms of sampling on the retail floor, but there's solutions out there. Like we actually just did a webinar with the folks at Sampler, which is up on our website on demand. You can access that. But, they talk about digital sampling and how they're, sending out sampling packages and how brands can get involved with that and the benefits for retailers in terms of really getting the data on what people like, who your actual demographics are. So a win-win, because it's a win for the consumers that they get to taste that and then they give you feedback, and then you get all that feedback. So
that's great.
Yeah, programs like that, like Sampler, can really help out for still that little hesitancy of going into the store and actually sampling products, in the old school way that we used to.
Sure. Yeah, makes sense. And then the next big point that you guys cover is, talks about consumers a little bit as well in terms of microbiome and consumer awareness. And I thought this stat was really interesting. So apparently between 2014 and 2019, correct me if I have this wrong, but I believe searches for the term microbiome increased 250%. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was 200%. Was it 250? You have it in front of you?
I think it's 250. Yeah, my notes say 250, but
a whole lot of percent. So let's say,
yeah, right. A whole bunch.
Yeah.
Over double. So tell me about that.
And also just even, again, a sign of the pandemic, that the gut-brain axis searches have increased 50%. So, coming out of the pandemic, driving that because of the stress angle. Definitely microbiome awareness has increased among consumers. They're beginning to understand. And as Julia Peterman on my team wrote this excellent article about the microbiome, and she points out that, the more you know you don't know about the microbiome, right? There's so much to know. But consumer awareness is increasing, and especially the awareness that, it's not just about the gut. This is whole body health, whole body well-being, which we want to make sure we're especially achieving now. And so consumers are really seeking out these products, and this science is really emerging. Lots of research coming out, helping us to better understand the benefits and probiotics and prebiotics and symbiotics. So we give an update on all the latest science in that feature, and definitely really important in terms of, throughout the supply chain, but at the retail level, to make sure that, you're informed on all the latest, because consumers are paying attention to this category and they really want to know more.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think if I think back on past podcasts that we've done, a number of times gut health has come up in relation to different body functions and systems. It's amazing. And you spell this out, and you list a bunch of those connections there. And I think education, as you said, is so important, because while awareness is growing, science is moving just as fast in this area. Mm-hmm. And so trying to, you think about consumers reading articles or talking to people or searching online, a couple of years ago, a year ago, things are evolving. We're learning more and more, which is a really exciting place to be right now for our industry and this category of products in particular. But that also puts a huge burden on anyone from retailers, brands, suppliers, that you have to keep educating consumers and help them come along with that emerging science. Mm-hmm. So number one, they can benefit from everything we're learning. Number two, they don't get stuck in maybe an old notion when science has moved past that. So there's a lot going on here.
Right. And you want them to get the benefits, obviously, so that they don't just pick a probiotic off the shelf, but it's not for their needs. And then it's like, oh, probiotics don't work, or worse, the natural products don't work. So the education and staying on top of the science is so key there. And there's also another article in the same issue about oral health. And it basically ends up being a lot about probiotics too, because now it's like, you need your toothpaste, your floss, and your probiotics, because the oral microbiome, again, is so important to overall health. So some really interesting updated coverage there on the science of the microbiome.
Yeah, it was great coverage. And this last point that we want to talk about, active nutrition. And what I just love the fact, there's a quote from Brian Moore at Now Foods. He talks about how it's evolved, right? And how it used to be for athletes. And now, especially amplified by the pandemic, people trying to stay in shape. We've got this more, all-inclusive, everyone trying to stay fit, brands addressing that with products. And I just thought for a second, boy, how has this category changed so much in the last 10 years? Because back when I was on the brand side and we would run, ads in sports, like weightlifting magazines and stuff. Mm-hmm. Do you remember these? Do you remember like any of what these magazines looked like? Maybe they still do. I'm not a frequent reader.
No, they're out there still, but
are they still out there? It was filled with covers of men and women who looked like they wanted to hurt me. There was always a filter over their whole body. where like it made their skin kind of grayish and all the pores looked like little black points. And they just like, they had veins that like popped out of their noses because they probably did like nose lifts. They were so vascular. And think about that and think about where we are today, right?
Right.
Where there's this whole range of products for people that don't have to fit that narrow niche. And I'm not downing that niche because, again, back to the they might want to hurt me comment. I'm just saying there's this whole
come after you.
Yeah.
But it's true. It's like now, active nutrition is for all of us. It's everybody. And I believe Brian also made the point that, there's performance. What performance means is different. And this is where the opportunity really lies for the industry because, maybe for you, you're talking about a Tough Mudder, or maybe you're talking about being better at esports and e-gaming. And, it's a little younger set, very involved in that. And so it's the whole mental and physical and the opportunities in terms of additional benefits and need states that play into being able to have an active lifestyle. So immunity, obviously, huge. 2020 has made that at the forefront of everything, and active nutrition is not an exception to that. And mental health and just the whole big picture of everything that now is encompassed within the active nutrition category.
You've inspired me to eat better, tasty, functional foods, and get out there and move a little bit and pay attention to my gut. So I'm going to try to do all those three things before we meet up again.
All right. Well, respect it. I'll need a progress report from you on how that all went.
Oh,
you're going to come next time we meet. You're going to be like,
I have to actually do this. Yeah. Okay. Well, hey, it was great catching up with you, Maggie, and we'll talk next time.
All right. Good to see you.